I just landed back in Vancouver, and somehow my hotel is directly beside my old workplace. This is the same place tied to the layoff that pushed me to leave to go back to Kenya and completely rethink what I thought stability was in my life. And looking at the building now, months later, I realized something I could not see when I was inside the experience. The event did not change, but what it means to me did. And I think that says something about how much authority we give our current emotions over what we think our life means. At the time, the layoff felt incredibly destabilizing. I'm not gonna lie. It felt like life had gone off script. The things I had planned for just weren't looking the same. And I did not know what the next few months were going to look like. I did not know whether going back to Kenya was progress or retreat or simply the only thing that made sense at the time. And when you're inside a moment like that, your reality becomes very narrow. You start treating the way you feel today as proof of what the future is going to look like. So, all that hoopla about take it day by day literally becomes day by day. But one thing that I've observed is when you are inside an experience, you only have access to the meaning available to you at that moment. You do not have hindsight yet. You do not have distance. You typically do not know which part of the story is temporary and which part is actually changing you. And sometimes everything feels final simply because we cannot yet see beyond the version of life we are standing inside in that moment. The interesting thing is, I'm not coming back with everything is figured out mentality. The truth is, I'm still figuring things out. But there's a slight shift that I've observed. I am not carrying uncertainty in the same way. There's a lot more grace around it now. I have more compassion. And the biggest of all, I have more optimism. And this is not because life suddenly became predictable. It's simply because I learned that uncertainty does not automatically mean I'm falling apart. That is probably one of the biggest things the last several months gave me. And the other thing that was strange was I went to the mall and I was in an Uber driving around again. And of course, you're doing this on the same roads, same mall, same rhythm to life when you see people walking around. And essentially, you have the same feeling of familiarity. Like, yeah, yeah, I know this ends. And to be honest, it was comforting because this place was home for over a decade. But that comfort made me ask myself a different question. If I had never left, how much of this life would I have continued accepting simply because it was familiar? See, I used to think comfort was just about staying somewhere because it was easy. But as I've observed over the last several months, I think it is more complicated than that. Something can be difficult and still be familiar. Something can even look like progress and still keep you inside the same imagination of what your life can be. Familiarity can make one version of life feel like the only version available. And I think distance is what gave me comparison. Without going away, I wouldn't have figured it out or had the perspective and the lens that I have today. So maybe that is what distance does. Distance does not always change what happened. Sometimes it changes what you're able to see in it. Looking back, the layoff still happened. I still left. I still had to figure things out. But I no longer interpret those events from the exact same place emotionally. And that difference matters. Because to me, it meant processing things on my own terms when my mind and body could reconcile and be ready to move on from the events that had happened. And in the few hours that I've been here, I've been asking myself a few questions since landing. What did I believe about my life before I left? Which of those beliefs no longer feel completely true? I look back and I ask myself, what did leaving show me that staying could not? And to be honest, maybe the hardest one of them all is what parts of this old life still genuinely fit me and what parts only feel safe because I know them. So this week, I want you to sit with something that felt definitive for me 6 or 12 months ago. Something that I thought I fully understood. I want you to ask yourself, if I was to describe the experience that I went through in the past, would I describe it the same way today? And if the answer is no, what can I see now that I could not see from inside it before? This is not to rewrite the past. It's just to see whether time has given you and the situation a wider view. Because for me, when I look back, and when I look back through this hotel window, the building has not changed. The roads have not changed. The story I was telling myself has not changed. But I'm not looking at it with the same eyes anymore. Maybe that is one of the quiet gifts of distance. Sometimes it does not give us closure. It just gives us a wider view. This was your weekly reset. I hope we can all read, reflect, and rise. Please subscribe and share. And I hope to see you on the next one.